Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create some hair movie clips. This could quite easily be hair, it could be headwear, headgear, that kind of thing. So we've got the main movie clip of our character. I need to enter that timeline by double clicking on it, and then I'm going to select the head. Now we'll notice when I look at the head and zoom in, the registration point is actually in the centre of the head. And it's actually going to be better for us to have the registration point at the top centre, because it'll make it easier for us positioning the hair. So I'm going to go into the timeline for that, and then save that head. Then double click to select the outline on the fill, and then with the align pane I'm going to choose align to stage and then align to top edge. That will reposition it. Then I need to come out of the head timeline back into the main character timeline. Just reposition that, and there we go. Okay, so to create the hair, I'm going to do this actually inside of the head movie clip because it makes it a little bit easier in terms of drawing it to scale. So I'm going to double click on the head, choose a timeline. I'm going to create a new layer. I'm just going to call it working layer. The layer underneath is the head, and we're going to lock the head layer. So when we select it, nothing happens. We can't click on it. I'm then going to using the pencil tool, and I'll just have a simple black outline, 1 pixel, and on the working layer, draw some kind of hair. So let's do a curvy hairstyle, a little bit wavy on the bottom, making sure that they cross at the end so that we can fill it. So using the paint bucket tool, choose a colour similar to the browny colour, fill that in, and we've got our first hairstyle. So I'll double click on that, then right click to convert to symbol, and I'll call this hair 1 if it's the first one I've created. At this moment we're not bothered about where the registration point is because we're going to give it a custom registration point. Okay. So notice the registration point is currently at the centre of that movie clip by the cross and the white circle transformation point. But what we actually need to do is to reposition it. So I'm going to align the registration point for the hair with the registration point for the head, and then double clicking on the hair, I will enter the hair timeline, make sure that it's all selected, and then reposition it back where it wants to be, roughly there, so that the registration point is now positioned in a custom position, which we won't be able to control with the defaults. Okay, so in the library, this is called hair 1, I'm going to give this linkage of hair 1, because we'll be adding this dynamically when we create the character, and then we will test that. Okay, so I'm just going to delete that from the timeline. Okay, so once we've deleted the hair from the stage, making sure that it's still in the library, and that we've given its linkage name, I'm going to go back to the main timeline just to test this out. So in the main timeline I'm going to create a layer called Actions, and then I'm going to open the Actions window and just double check that everything's working. So we use the keyword var, which is the keyword for variable. We'll give the variable a name. In this case it would be an instance name, so I'll just call it new h1. So that is the same as going into properties and giving a movie clip an instance name like underscore manner here. Okay, new h1, and then the data type is hair 1, which relates to the AS linkage name that we've given, and then equals new hair 1 brackets, That creates a new instance, and then we add the instance to the display list so we can visibly see it, and that's called add child. So currently, okay, it's actually add child, not childs. So add child, and in brackets we put the instance name, display object that's going to be the child of the main timeline. So new h1, and then press Control and Enter to test that. Should find it. Let's just make this window bigger, and there we go. Okay, so now it appears off to the left hand side, and that's because we've added it to the main timeline. So let's close that off. What we're going to do now is, rather than add it to the main timeline, we're going to add it to underscore man dot underscore head add child. Let's see if that makes a slight difference. Term undefined. Now that's likely to be an instance name issue, so I just need to go to underscore man, check that's the correct name. Yeah. Not giving it an instance name to underscore head. Okay. So if we test that again, you'll see that it's now taken up the position on the head where we wanted it to be. So from there on, all we would do is we would create some further instances, another 8 hairstyles or head adornments, whatever it is that you feel that you want to put on there for your characters, and then we'll create a little interface to select those. Okay, and that will be covered in the next video.